YNW Melly's mother, Jamie King, is about to help him be released from prison, as this week, YNW Melly said in court that he's about to come home. All this began this week as YNW Melly's mother, Jamie King, filed paperwork against the lead detective in Melly's trial named Mark Moretti, as Mark Moretti went after Jamie King in a very serious way. As the report reads, "We received a complaint by an attorney representing Jamie King. King is the mother of Jamel Demons, the given name of YNW Melly. YNW Melly's lawyers filed a motion in his case seeking Brady material against the detective. Brady material refers to information that could be used to question the integrity of law enforcement officers who have testified in criminal cases." As it continues, details about the encounter between Melly's mother and Moretti were not available Thursday, with one exception. While the incident took place on October 12, 2022, the complaint was not filed until this month, as allegedly YNW Melly's mother several months ago was called in for an interrogation by Mark Moretti. Once she arrived to the police station and sat down, Mark Moretti demanded she handed over her cell phone, seeing if he can get any sort of evidence against Melly. However, she was not going to give it up easily. This then caused Moretti to try grabbing it from out of her hand, causing her to have a hand injury. As just let me take you back 7 months ago. January 2nd, Melly's mother Jamie as well as B Slime were on a No Jumper podcast, as Adam22 asks Jamie King what happened to her hand, as Jamie could be seen with a cast around her hand, mentioning a police officer was responsible. There's a very high chance this now delays YNW Melly's upcoming retrial, giving him an advantage in the courtroom to be released on bond, as Mark Moretti's police work needs to be investigated. Mark revealed all of the evidence that was found on YNW Melly's cell phone. However, how he got the cell phone evidence was disturbing, as we have just learned that YNW Melly's cell phone was directly given to Mark Moretti by 100K Track, aka Melly's manager, as he told 100K Track to hand over YNW Melly's cell phone within 48 hours or be arrested and kicked out of the United States.
You, as a trained investigator, Jameson Francois to be deported to Haiti, even though he's been in this country since 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Did you, in fact, that he would not get fed and get any medicine in the jails?
I don't know about that in the conversations.
When you questioned Jameson Francois, were you alone, or did you bring immigration officers with you?
We were at the Chrome Detention Center, so of course the immigration officer had to be there.
As YNW Melly's lawyer was yelling at Mark Moretti on the stand because he did very questionable police work to obtain Melly's cell phone. Why YNW Melly's cell phone is so important is because it has 90% of the evidence that the prosecutors used against Melly in his trial. And the fact that he had to give up Melly's cell phone or else he would have been kicked out of the United States is something very concerning and just wrong. As on YNW Melly's cell phone, Mark Moretti was able to find text messages of YNW Melly admitting to doing the crime.
The PZ Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time, the YNW Melly account says what?
After that, SHHHH.
And could you please stand and point on the right side of the screen exactly which part you're saying where the YNW Melly account says, "I did that"?
I did that. This is the thread ID. This is the text. This is the author. And this is the recipient. Then you come down here, same thing. The ID is for the actual message, which is just specific that one message. Then the thread ID is the actual continuing message.
As Mark Moretti also went through YNW Melly's personal text messages that he had with his ex-girlfriend, where YNW Melly's ex-girlfriend tells Melly to stop being friends with YNW Bortlen or else she's gonna break up with him. Melly refused and said this.
Moving on to Friday, November 9th, 2029, 20 UTC, 2018. message from Melly Montana to, again, that baby. What does that one say?
You don't with me anyways. I peeped it. You can slide, but God knows I wasn't in her and real breaking. You spoiled everything was given to you. You act like a some slide. I keep Bortlen with cuz at the
As Melly states that Bortlen did one of the realest things in his life for him, really makes you wonder what that is. While also examining YNW Melly's cell phone, he found a deleted video on his Snapchat history, as videos that are saved to Snapchat are never actually gone, where YNW Melly says he's gonna turn himself in.
Hello, so everybody. This is real footage. My name is Melly, and I'm gonna turn myself in. But I'm in a suitcase because they are arresting me, and I have to get on a private jet, and I don't want them to see me.
Then while also examining his cell phone, he would go through YNW Melly's personal notepad, as this saved Facebook Live video link is YNW Melly and Bortlen's reactions 8 hours after the crime was done.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! The dog still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
Mark Moretti and the families of Sackchaser and Juvie know that if you want to get the worst out of YNW Melly and make him act strange, then just basically mess with his mother, Jamie King. This is exactly what they did throughout the Melly trial, and they are still doing it to this day. As during the Melly trial, we learned that YNW Juvie's sister allegedly reached out to Melly's mother on social media.
Did start off earlier with the defense bringing up an issue. Apparently, Juvie's sister posted and she said that she was going to Jamie King, and she has a bodyguard now. So judge did basically say, if you needed more security, I can get it for you. Ultimately, it was determined that the security she had, the bodyguard, was going to be enough. So
this is the sister, Ashley Monique. So she posted a screenshot from Jamie King, YNW Melly's mother, and she said, pest control, who called about it? Now, that was in regards to a post made by Trayvon Glass on his Instagram page. He's not worried about anything, and if he's come him. Melly's mom is calling Trayvon Glass a, and Monique replied back and says, a is when you do something wrong and not take responsibility and then go and set somebody up because you're scared to lay down. That's not the case here. Fetty was Juvie's friend, not Melly. He was only around because Juvie brought him. Somebody says she better find something safe to do. Another person replied back and says, very well said. And somebody else said, come get. Now, Ashley was in the comments and says, she even has a bodyguard, child. Now, somebody else posted this and says, she's going to need them because she's in the wrong city talking. Now, I think that when Melly's defense attorneys found this, they submitted it over to the judge and basically was like, Juvie's sister's out here Melly's mom. Now, the judge did state that if Melly's mom needed security, he would issue her security, and then he found out that she had a bodyguard, and that would be sufficient enough.
As right after YNW Melly heard about the back and forth between Melly's mom as well as Juvie's sister, the following day inside a court, YNW Melly was seen looking very emotional and concerned for his mother, as we would see Melly trying to comfort her inside of the courtroom.
Sorry.
We'll just don't do it.
As Melly knew something had to be done to save his mom, so he put a request in with the judge asking for 24/7 security for his mother. Thankfully, this was then accepted by the judge, as moments after, YNW Melly would look extremely grateful as well as relieved for his mother. Jamie King has been dealing with a lot of stress ever since the trial began. The situation has become so bad that rap OG Boosie even shared this during an interview.
Okay, so
then I met his mama while he was in.
Oh, okay.
I met his mom while he was in, and she real, bro. You know, she real.
You stressed out. I heard she had a.
Yeah, she real, and I reached my hand out to him. I reached out to him, bro. I met his mom, and she a good woman, bro. And when I see them mamas like that, it remind me of what my mom was going through, bro.
All of this aside, Melly's chances at being released on bond is extremely high, and this is due to how the mistrial was granted. As a report would share, according to a juror who served in the YNW Melly trial, claims a majority of the jurors wanted to convict him, but one woman that was on the jury was determined to find Melly not guilty, and she convinced 2 other people to say he wasn't guilty too. Quote, his mom is lying, it was 9-3 guilty, not the other way around. Now this is in response to YNW Melly's mother, Jamie King, who after the mistrial was granted, put on her Snapchat saying, 9 not guilties, 3 guilty. It was a mistrial, my son will be home. God is still working. However, it gets a lot deeper than this, as a juror that was on the YNW Melly trial did an anonymous interview stating that Melly was supposed to be found guilty. However, there was one juror that was on the team that knew from the beginning she was not going to change her mind at all, and she wanted YNW Melly to be not guilty.
They said most jurors wanted to convict Melly of 2 counts of the Broward County, the former juror has said. The juror blamed the mistrial on one woman who served on the jury who appeared to be determined to acquit Jamel Demmons. The juror goes on to say that from day one, she had issues with the 4-person selected, at one point crossing her arms and saying that she was done. When another juror asked to not shut down and she set her feelings aside, she was manipulative, she was rude, she yelled insults at everyone, and she was just had a different opinion.
As sources claim, there was one juror that wanted to be a, quote, hero, possibly wanting fame to be the one to save YNW Melly's life in his case. The original votes were 11-1 for YNW Melly being guilty. However, with the juror that wanted to be a hero voting not guilty all by herself would go on and do something extremely unexpected.
On the last day of deliberation, the former juror said that while it appeared that there was 11-1 to convict Demmons, the woman pulled 2 jurors aside and spoke to them for a few minutes and convinced them to come to her side. They stated, and I quote, then she came over and announced to the group that they had changed their minds, but when another juror asked why she was speaking for them, she adding that the woman then hurled insults, including, and without an agreement, Broward County Circuit Judge John J. Murphy declared the mistrial, and you guys remember that.
However, the juror that went on and did the interview mentioned why they even spoke about it in the first place, revealing that not only should YNW Melly be inside of prison right now, but YNW Melly's mother is also a liar.
The former juror said that the decision to speak up about what happened behind the scenes resulted from reports from Demmons' mother, Jamie King, who said that they were deadlocked at 9-3 in favor of an acquittal, which again, we find out from this juror, is incorrect. The former juror said it was actually the opposite. She said that she had came out because she said, I don't want someone out there changing my vote. She then goes on to say that you tell a lie enough, it becomes the truth.
Not only does YNW Melly have to worry about that, but he also has to worry about Bortlen's trial starting on October 2nd. YNW Bortlen's trial is set to begin a week before YNW Melly's. Sources reveal the state is doing it this way to give Bortlen a chance to make a plea deal. That week's worth of trial before Melly's begins will be structured in a way to give Bortlen a chance to plea and tell the truth of what really happened, as the state is extremely smart for doing this. As after the YNW Melly mistrial was granted, Bortlen went on and tweeted something.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's a juror inquiry form. It indicates that after further discussions, reviewing the evidence and speaking freely amongst the jurors, we are still unable to reach a unanimous decision. So at this time, what I'm going to do is just declare a mistrial, and again, I want to thank you very much for your time. It's very much appreciated. You're free to go. All right, swear down. Thank you, ladies.
As a report would share, YNW Bortlen tweets a mysterious message on the same day YNW Melly's mistrial was granted. The tweet shares, "Mind games don't work on people like me," alongside a handshake emoji. So during the entire Melly trial, his lawyers were playing mind games with the jury, hinting towards Bortlen being the guilty one. Now YNW Bortlen is subtweeting the mind games phrase, as well as having a handshake emoji as if he's accepting some sort of deal. As even 15 minutes into the opening statements on day 1 of Melly's trial, Melly's own lawyer stated that YNW Bortlen was the one with powder residue on his hands.
Those were his lines. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with 2 bodies, car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket. Not Cortland Henry. There were 3 phones.
As not only that, but there would also be bringing up a forensic scientist that covered the passings to go into further detail about Bortlen having the powder residue on his hands.
Right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of powder residue and 2 two-component particles. And the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of powder residue and 1 two-component particle.
And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was powder residue present on the hands.